Hey, Sky Ferris, and welcome to Aethercast, the Kharadron Overlords podcast and channel. Apologies for the delay on tonight's show, but my co-host for tonight's show, Mr. Max Bowman, was busy wiping the floor with some Slanesh.
Yeah, they were resisting more than expected.
Well, maybe you should have just took the double turn.
Yeah, but then it would have been over after 5 minutes.
Okay, well, that's good to hear that Slanesh is still in their proper place.
Yeah. Oh, we were playing Old Edition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're still 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, I have a tournament next Saturday in Austria, playing Old Edition, and the mate I was playing against, Slanesh, he's also coming to that tournament. So we're trying a bit the old Battleplans. But I'm excited for new edition since we played yesterday. Yeah, yesterday still.
Yes.
So it sounds fun. I have a couple of ideas what to do and test out. It's exciting.
Cool. So, for anyone that doesn't know, well, most people probably don't know, you played Tempest Eye yesterday.
Yes.
So, are those ideas Tempest Eye? Are they KO?
I must say mostly Tempest Eye. I have some ideas how to tweak that list, make it a bit more efficient. For KO, we talked about this yesterday a bit. I'm not quite sure what to do yet. I think I need to test out a bit different lists, what to do. But I think we'll talk about most of the things now, today, in today's show. I give our thoughts. So bear in mind, personally, I played one game, probably made some mistakes, but still got some impressions. We had some chat already about the new edition, some leaks. So this is our ideas so far, but as always, people need to test out. It will take a couple of weeks, a couple of months even to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what is important.
I don't
think today's is just our first view. Should we call it that?
Yeah, first impressions, and I don't think there's necessarily like an obvious right. This is the best thing with KO at the moment.
No.
I mean,
there never was.
I mean, there's still Zilfin, and Warp Lightning Vortex is still a thing that you can do.
It's still good. Yeah.
But it didn't go well for me yesterday with my KO. So, and
it was very very narrative because Gotrek.
Yeah, Gotrek did Gotrek things. I've just realised because I don't own Gotrek because when I tried to buy them at Warhammer World, they were sold out, and then I just never got around to it. So I just realised Bugman, Jacob Bugmanson, the model that has no rules in it, it's like the perfect standard. He even has an axe.
Is he on the same bay? 32 mil.
32 mil base. So if people are okay with you doing
that, give him a crest, an orange crest on his helmet. Absolutely, gorgeous model, and I don't think anyone would have any complaints about it. He's a dwarf. He's cool looking. He has a beer mug. So my Gotrek has a beer mug. I modified him a bit. So he's lifting a keg in one hand.
If Bugmanson ever gets rules, you can use him as a count size for Bugmanson.
Probably, yeah. A lot of my dwarf models have mugs because the old Clan Warrior kit, I think it was, they had a hand option with a like a beer stein.
Okay.
So I love that one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Before we dive into everything, is there any news? I don't think there is. There's some 40k stuff.
News-wise, I think today was a review. A couple of friends at the club watched it. There's new squig beef snagger thingies.
Squig shark with robot legs.
So cool. A big white squig. There's new Death Core of Krieg plastic kits. I assume people who like that army and that aesthetic. Cool.
I don't even know what that is.
It's the World War I looking ones with the shovels, with the gas masks. They finally got like plastic. There used to be a Forge World army, very expensive. very flimsy. I was told. So new plastic kits is good, but it's just one troop. So I don't know if they'll get anything more. But they have some extra kits. There's a squig with some dynamite attached to it. Running about, so that's a cool model. Maybe you could do something with that conversion wise. And there's some nice terrain, but it's more like orc scrap buildings, terrain, forts, bunkers, things. Okay. So, and I believe there was a teaser at the end for Black Templars if you like Space Marines on a crusade thing.
So more Space Marines, what a surprise.
Yeah, but it was all 40k. I think for AOS we're until August when we see the battle tomes. I think we're set for now.
Okay.
We had a lot of stuff in the recent weeks and months.
Yeah, true. Okay, well let's dive into stuff then. So before we look at the battle plans, we're going to look at the grand strategies and the battle tactics.
Certainly, before we look at the strategies, may I just say something? What we're talking about is found in this General's Handbook, the new one.
I might just put you
and I don't do this often, but I'd like to congratulate GW on this product because I think they did a fantastic job. Because finally, in the General's Handbook, there's match play stuff. No stupid aerial wars, no stupid meeting engagements. The Anvil of Apotheosis, I guess, was fun for some people, but it's most people who buy this for match play, they bought a book and only used a third or a quarter of it. Now this is all match play. It has the core rules in it. You don't need to scroll through your phone or another book. The big, I don't have here the big fat core book, which is also a nice book. It has a nice ring binding, which is fantastic. You can lay it down flat. What I used to do when they had this gaming handbook 2 years ago, I think, which was the same size, a smaller size. I did that. Actually, I went to a copy shop and asked them to cut off the end and put in these ring binders. So that's great. They have these very useful little, this is going to be a product review here, useful markers. So I'd like to congratulate and compliment GW on this book. I love it. It's great. It's easy to use. Everything's in one place. It's not heavy to carry. We're moving in It's great. Very convenient. Very convenient, and it comes with the battle tactics that we'll look at in a moment on little pull-out cards and some, I don't know, tokens. I don't know what to do with these, but we'll see.
Yeah, objective markers on
them. Probably, yeah. Hi, Kron.
Hello.
We managed to delay long enough for Kron to be on because we hadn't actually told Kron about the show. We didn't arrange it with time zones and stuff in advance enough.
No, you just wake up and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. You're live from the bedroom.
So yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that it's a cool product. If you're into match play, go buy it. It's not not that expensive. I think. What is it? £20? Something.
I can't remember. 25 maybe.
$70, but okay.
Jeez. Okay.
Expensive in Australia. And I just remember there is some other news as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there is.
Dice news.
Dice have arrived in Australia, and they are.
They dropped and lost.
They're everywhere.
Ready to get shipped out. I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
So
also, EU dice have been shipped out, most of them, yesterday. I rolled today. I must say the gold ones do a lot of sixes. My opponent was complaining that these were like microwave dice or cheater dice.
You see us at the gold.
I was a bit embarrassed at the end because I rolled a lot of sixes in our game. So they work. They're worth the money, especially the gold ones. They're gorgeous. I must say I was a bit skeptical of the gold ones. I prefer the silver ones, but I must say they look awesome. They have a
very shiny.
Fantastic. I'm very happy. So EU dice and Norway sent out. Except one person who I wrote an email to, who I'm missing your street number on the address that you gave when you bought the dice. So I'm hesitant to send it out without a street number because I'm pretty sure it will just come back to me. So please check your emails. You're living in Germany. I'll put in the comments maybe like first name, and then you know who you are. Please check your emails and respond to me.
Yeah. And Matt has sent out all the ones in the US and Canada. So they've all gone and been shipped. So we're just waiting at the moment for UK ones because they are stuck in customs at the moment, and the tracking hasn't been updated since Tuesday. So hopefully they will arrive soon.
Yeah, it took like a week through customs here. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully that will happen soon.
And nice side effect. I know where every one of you lives now, so behave in the comments. And I must say, I'm amazed. There's people from all over the place, like all the way north in Sweden. Hi, Evelina, if you're watching. I know where you live. I know where your house lives. And also Asmund in Norway, and it's great to see where these people tune in from.
All the Scandinavians, by the sound of it.
Scandinavians, a lot of Spanish people. I was amazed. Italy, Germany, a couple. Austria, a couple of them. The Netherlands. So yeah, all over Poland, all over the place. I was amazed. That was great to see where all these people came from and tuned in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that people come to listen to us chat in English.
yeah, and like come to listen to chat to us. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay.
Okay, should we back to grand strategies? Yes, please.
So, grand strategies, if you don't know what they are a thing that you pick when you build your list, and it's basically what your army is trying to do. And when you're playing a game, it's worth 3 points if you get it. And obviously, if you stop your opponent getting theirs, that's a 6-point swing potentially if you get yours and stop them.
Yeah, so, and they are found in the pitched battle section of the General's Handbook. So not in the core rules, but in the actual General's Handbook.
No, it says some of the core rules as well. Can't remember, but
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, but match play only uses these ones.
Yes. Anyway, yeah. So when you go to a tournament or whatever, you're probably going to be using these ones. Where everything in tonight's show is just sticking to the stuff in the GHP. So
I mean, the core rules technically are in the GHP, but the play section of the GHP.
The pitched battle pack for 2021.
Yep.
That's what they want to call it.
So for these, first of all, let's just say whoop, 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 whoop. Ignore those ones because we don't have monsters and we don't have wizards and we don't have priests.
Well, we can have wizards.
Yes, you can ally wizards in, and you can ally in monsters, and you can ally in priests. So, but unless you're, I mean, that's something you might want to think about doing. But if you
the same with priests, pillar of belief,
and monsters with barrack ring.
We can have monsters with fire slayers and priests with fire slayers. We can have dispossessed priests.
No, but I don't think we've had Max on since we've talked about the barrack ring FAQs.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on barrack ring at the moment?
So it's sad that Gotrek is not a Dwarden, what is it called? Coalition unit.
Yeah.
So he's if you put him in Fring, then he takes up all the ally slots, which is a shame because you'd like to use Ether Wings maybe with him. It's a little bit of a nerf. They don't get the Barrack Ring keyword anymore, which basically is just the re-rolling 1s and exploding 6s. But I think it's still okay. It still works. It's a hit, but let's be honest. It's the same with KO and Tempest Eye, for example. They don't get the Tempest Eye keyword. Only the Stormcast.
They do. Oh, they don't?
No, I'm pretty sure they don't, because it refers to they are coalition. Check the coalition rules, and in the coalition rules it only says Stormcast units. I think the rule is called Stormhost. Only Stormcast units are cities units now, but it doesn't say KO are city units now. So they lost that. So you cannot have a general for KO, or you it's a bit, the coalition units are good, but not as good as they used to be. So yeah, Fring. I think Fring is, with what I've looked at, I think it's still the best bet currently.
Yeah, it's still
you still get those reroll ones. You still get reroll ones against the enemy's 3 biggest units, and rerolling anything is powerful.
Yeah, rerolls are much better now.
Yes. Okay, so I mean, we should probably talk about what these grand strategies actually are. There's a few there that you might not even be able to use depending on your list, but you could swing them in with stuff, with allies or whatever. There's also a few here that basically around killing certain things. Sever the head, first of all. Basically, you kill all of the heroes from your opponent's army. And all of these, I mean, I can't remember if I've used the exact wording I have here. All of these are based on the starting army, so it doesn't matter if they summon stuff, basically.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, this one, depending on your opponent, can be easily achieved or can be very hard. So I don't know if I choose this one, because at the tournament, you don't know who you're facing, so it's a gamble.
They could have Morathi, they could have Archeon, they could have Nagash. And moving on from Sever the Head, which involves killing all the heroes, there's one where you only have to kill one hero, which is Vendetta, which is you kill the model that's chosen to be your opponent's general, but you also have to have your general be alive at the end of the game.
That's trickier.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same issue because they could have, those really hard to kill.
But usually the named characters are not the general because they want to get a trade. So they put the general is like a small side hero. So yeah, maybe it's achievable. The last part is a bit troubling. Like, my general has not been slain because my Undermaster tends to die.
Yeah.
Somewhat down the line.
Even my chemist tends to die. But I think a real question is, with the kill the enemy general, what if you're fighting something like vampires or daughters who have models that count as the general, as well as the general that you pick?
No, the general is the general that you select in your army.
It says the model chosen to be your opponent's general, so it's just
the other ones only have a rule that they count as a general in addition, so they have a wider aura for command abilities, 18-inch bubble, and they help you generate command points.
All right.
I think that's the only benefit they actually bring to the table.
So you've got those two that are about killing heroes, basically, and then you've got a whole, half of them are about keeping things alive. So you've got the ones we mentioned earlier, which are Pillars of Belief, Prize Sorcery, and Beastmaster, which are all about if you have at least one either monster, wizard, or priest alive at the end of the battle. And then also another one which is a bit more achievable for KO, which is called Hold the Line, which is if at least one of your battle line units is still on the battlefield at the end of the
Yes. Unless you go like 3 MSU engine riggers as battle line in your build, then maybe I would not choose this. But if you go like 3 Arcanaut units and some other stuff, some Arcanaut units going to be left sitting on an objective at the end of the game somewhere. So I think this is achievable.
You could just put a cheap unit like Arcanaut, so only 100 points. You could just tuck them away somewhere where they're fairly safe.
I mean, we don't have much battle line. Like, Arcanauts are the only generic battle line, and then we have a couple of conditional battle lines. But the conditional ones, Endrin Riggers, I don't know, Thunderers maybe, Inar.
I mean,
maybe if you do Urbas with a lot of gun holders, there's one gun holder that's going to stay alive somewhere.
That's what I was about to say. They come up in the chat, while the show was delayed, where I was asking people about their grand strategies, and Sean mentioned about having a gun hauler with the drill cannon, so he could just sit, shooting 36 inches, so he's still participating. And then it can also, it's got the option of flying high and having an objective if one's empty.
Or just fly high away if someone comes to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one's got potential. It's also got a lot of potential for your opponents because, some armies can have like pretty much iron draws. Pretty much everything is battle line. So
cities.
Dispossessed.
Yeah, dispossessed. Like everything in Max's list yesterday was battle line. So that one's relatively achievable, I think. And then there's a couple of more odd ones. So dominating presence is one you get if there are more units from your starting army on the battlefield than there are from your opponent's starting army on the battlefield. So basically,
KO aren't known for having a huge amount of units. We're pretty. We're usually pretty small.
Elite, high point cost, small units. Yeah.
If you table your opponent, you do it. It's great. But
I mean,
I wouldn't gamble on this. And then you face like a Seraphon or a Daughters of Cain, and they have a lot of units they can put on the table.
Yeah.
Even some Chaos armies, like they have cheap demons and cheap chaff, and I think this is a bit tough.
I mean, if you take an Ironclad, that's a quarter of your points gone in one unit, and then you're going to have a huge number of units, then, aren't you? So, and then the last one is one that I've seen a lot of people talking about as like the go-to one, which is Predator's Domain, and it's if you control more terrain features than your opponent at the end of the battle.
Okay, so, please remind me, how do I control terrain?
The same way as objectives, but 3 inches instead of 6. So you just have to be within 3 inches of the terrain piece. But obviously, if your opponent's within 3 inches, then they will control
the units inside the boat still don't count towards this.
Well, that's questionable because it says they don't count towards objectives.
Terrain isn't objectives.
Yeah, so
but
is
it units within range? Because, for example, in the old edition, there were these battle plans that leaders within 6 of the objective gave you an extra point, for example, or battle line, and there didn't matter if they were inside a boat or not, because you just had to measure a distance. So you could make an argument for that units inside do count towards this.
The core rules actually has a section on it, and it literally just says, do it the same way as you do with objectives. So it says. So yeah, that kind of
so maybe that's maddeningly unhelpful.
Yeah.
So,
but that's an interesting one because obviously you tag and go with objectives. So you would tag and go with terrain as well, potentially. So if you were on that terrain piece at the beginning of the battle and then no one else has been on it since, do you control it?
Are you going to have
or are you just going to do one check at the end of the game, and then you've all got to run towards the terrain pieces?
Which is
Are you going to have to mark down all the terrain that you control throughout the whole game now? Like, are you going to need separate?
Maybe that's more what these markers are for. Like these 10 weird markers.
I think it's meant to be just do one check at the end of the game.
Yeah, so it's unclear. Maybe check with the TO or your opponent previously.
Which is
using this.
Okay, because we can still just we can just fly high. Yep. 1 inch away from the objectives, but still within 3 inches. So you just in turn 5 you just spread out, plop onto all the onto as much terrain as you need.
The interesting thing is when then it will come down to number of models potentially, and so one ship on it won't count as much. Won't count as 2.
I mean, usually by turn 5. Someone's been tabled. Someone's been tabled by turn 5.
Yeah, well, we don't. I'm not sure if this is true for the 3rd edition as well.
Yeah, it seems like so far from what I've seen, like a very defense-based game.
There's a lot of +1 save available.
There is, but my game so far I've ended with someone dying in the end. It's still the damage output from units is still extremely high in this game. You touch a unit with something big and it evaporates.
Yeah, interesting.
Or you charge a unit and you evaporate.
Yeah.
From Unleash Hell.
Yeah, from Unleash Hell. Or because you just charge go trick, which you shouldn't do.
I don't know. Maybe hold the line is like a go-to.
The interesting thing
I would know, to be honest.
There's
no safe one here.
Like,
how does your guys' game end?
I think the technical term is obliterated.
Yeah, and that's due mostly to Unleash Hell from 20 buffed Iron Drakes sitting in the middle of the table and shooting everyone who just charged near to them anywhere.
Yeah. Also, if there is Go Trek on the table, just ignore him. Don't try and shoot him. The glory of killing Go Trek turn 1 just doesn't happen.
It does not.
No, he does not. He does not die. That 3+ after save is strong.
And then he heals back up.
Yeah, and then he heals.
Then he heals back up all the time too.
Yeah.
So
there's no obvious choice, I'd say, which is maybe a good thing. There's no safe bet. Although if you have a Beastclaw Raider army, then any monsters in your starting army is an easy one to achieve, or a Gargan army, or even Archeon, because he's probably going to stay alive in this game.
I think my pick would be hold the line if you build around it, because you can achieve it without anything your opponent does. Whereas if lots of people are going to be going for Predator's Domain, like only one of you can get the most amount of terrain features. So, your opponent could stop you getting it.
Plus, if you have Battle Line, which usually are not the main units in your army, like the opponent, if he wants to stop you from getting this grand strategy, he needs to go after your Arcanauts, which means he's not going after your more valuable units.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I'd probably go with Sever the Head, just because if you're probably going to need to kill the heroes during your game anyway. If you're playing against like Archaon, and you gotta kill Archaon, or you're just not going to win the game.
Are you going to kill Go Trek?
Maybe. Well, it's a lot of people. Yeah,
it's hard. I don't know. We can shoot heroes, but shooting heroes now it has become a bit harder because they can +1 save and -1 to hit from knockouts. Or I don't know. It would not be my personal first choice.
Okay, so sounds like indecisive war.
For KO,
lacking. Lacking.
There's no obvious choice for KO here, in my opinion.
But yeah, because hold the line. If you don't build around it, then it's not easy.
Maybe, maybe the monster that get a Mega Gargant and just stomp him around the place. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to battle tactics, because these are also important for scoring. These are very important for scoring.
Yes.
These are worth 2 points for each of your turns.
So for a total of 10 points.
Yeah, and most of these also have a condition where you get an extra VP if you have, like, they're done by a monster. which KO probably won't be doing, but for your
Awesome.
opponents, these are potentially worth 15 points for the whole game.
But there is a trick to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So for KO, it's a bit hard to do, but you can do it with monsters because either you get to ally a monster.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easy one, or you ally a wizard, or you use a heroic action to become a wizard, and then you cast the realm sphere magic called Metamorphosis, which turns a hero into a monster.
Mm-hmm.
That hero gains the monster keyword, and now if he does one of these things, you get an extra point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of playing around three corners, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So in our game yesterday, I should have made Godric a monster to do monstrous actions and stomp you.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible, but it's tricky.
Yeah. And some of them will still be impossible because there's one of them, which we'll get to in a minute, that you need something to be done by 3 monsters.
Pick for you. If all 3 are monsters. Yeah, the running thing. Yeah, okay, then no.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's a bit. These are tricky. Because you need to think about, can I achieve this turn? Then do it. If cannot achieve it, can I achieve it later? Maybe there's one where you need to slay the enemy general. You say, oh, maybe I'll leave this for later, and then he dies, and then you can never achieve this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, just from a value point of view, some of the battle plans, like you're only scoring 2 points on objectives potentially, or maybe 3. So getting a 2 from this or 3 maybe is a big deal. You pick these at the start of your hero phase. You have until the end of your turn to score them. So it's not based over the round; it's based over just your turn, and you can't reuse them. So you also have to be thinking about, okay, if I've got 2 or 3 I can do this turn, which ones are going to be easier to do later, and do the one that's going to be, potentially one that will be harder to do later.
Yeah, there's some that you might want to do first. Like an example would be Ferocious Advance. Pick 3 units, run them up the board, and they need to be within 3 inches of each other. That's something you probably want to do first turn.
Yeah,
because later turns you don't want to run, you want to move and shoot or move and fight.
There's a good one you can plan as well for your deployment, and you can just guarantee it happens, and you can get those points out on the board early. Important thing to know about that: you can't retreat and run anymore. So for one of those units that you've got 3 units near each other and you're planning on doing that, and one of them gets locked in combat, then they can't do it.
This would be interesting in Mornar, because you can have 3 units run up and then still shoot.
Yeah,
Mornar works very well with that.
Yeah. Definitely. If you're picking Mornar,
you don't lose anything.
That's a guaranteed auto pick.
That's 2 points.
Yeah, 2 points in your first background.
But don't shoot the general, because you need to do that later with this later Warlord one. I think another one that's easy to plan ahead is the Conquer one. Pick and gain control of one objective your opponent's control. So you say, okay, this turn I can capture this objective that my opponent owns. I think you can plan for this. You can achieve this one. So this one's pretty. Maybe not first turn when your opponent hasn't gained control yet of.
No, they have gained control.
You could. No, I mean, like if there's objectives in the middle of the battlefield and he hasn't gone there yet. So maybe save this for a later turn.
It's also a slightly easier version of another one. So underneath it, you have an aggressive expansion now. It's pick and gain control of 2 objectives. Not only, I've tweaked the wording on these as well to fit them in boxes as well. But most of these things involve picking something. So you have to declare.
Yes.
Like, so for Conquer, you have to declare the objective and then go and take it. It's not just like, I'll pick Conquer and hopefully I'll get one of these 2 objectives I'm attacking. You have to decide which one.
Need to do either. Which is, I like it. Like, it's a bit like the Zinj agendas. Where at the start of the hero phase, I think they need to say, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to do this. And then if they do, they get a bonus. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. But you really want to make sure that you get these ones.
Yeah, these are worth, I'd say, like a third of the points of the game come from these. It's a lot of points.
They can easily be the difference between winning or losing.
Yeah, and I like this because, we know KO have a weak objective game because of bodies, because of, combat prowess maybe, or charging onto objectives. You don't need to have more objectives than your opponent. You can have the same and still win by achieving these ones. Like strategically choosing these and achieving them, all of them, that's a lot of points you're getting.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit of a big brain thing to do, but you try and be aware, particularly in the later turns, of what battle tactics your opponent has used, which ones they got left to choose from.
Yeah, that's
to
the
deny
thing.
them
Knowing what your opponent, they could. Okay, he's gonna pick this one for Conquer, so maybe I'll put my general here. So if he slays it, or if he captures it, then he cannot do both easy ones or so on. Yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. I like this mechanic.
Yeah. So
it's like the secondary objectives that we had last edition.
Yeah, but those were stupid.
Well implemented.
Yeah, these are done well. So we half mentioned aggressive expansion, which is basically about taking 2 objectives, but they have to be not wholly within your territory, which is a very weird wording, but there's an important reason for that wording, because you get ones that are.
I'm probably going to talk about the same thing that you are. But there's a lot of missions that have that objectives on the border of your deployment zone / territory, and they count towards that battle tactic, perhaps.
No,
they're not wholly.
If anything,
because it says
territories, it is wholly within your territory. It's counterintuitive, but they are. It's the same thing as when you, in the last edition and also this edition, if you come on and you can only come in within 6 inches of the board edge, and then there's an objective 12 inches away, how there's like this infinitesimal point where you're exactly 6 inches from both. This kind of works.
FAQ'd that. If you come in 6 inches on the board and there's an objective 12 inches away, you count as holding that objective.
Yeah, you always did.
You did, but they give it a less,
but it was a lot
complicated answer this time.
Yeah, no, they just said you do. End of it. Yeah.
So basically,
I believe the ones on the line do not count, I'd say.
Yeah, they don't count, and that's why it says not wholly within your territory. Because if it said wholly within your opponent's territory, then ones on the border would count. If they're on the border between both territories, then they would count. Because if your territories like meet up, sometimes your territories, there's a gap, no man's land in between. Sometimes they meet up, and if they meet up and they're on the border in between, then technically they're wholly in both territories, which is weird. But okay, but it does mean you can get those. If you get a battle plan where there's a no man's land and there's objectives in the middle, you can get that one quite easily with those.
But there's some battle plans where you cannot achieve this one.
Yes.
Because they're just on the edge of both your territories. To give you an example, survival of the fittest, page 30 in your GHB. Neither of these are not wholly within your territory. So this is just not achievable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is
there's a couple of these actually.
This is a difficult one, I think, depending on the battle plan. Some battle plans it could be easy if you have first time.
Yep.
Okay, which one should we talk about next?
Maybe Savage Spearhead, because you used that one yesterday.
Did I? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I made a mistake with. Yeah, so Savage Spearhead is basically you get it if you have 2 or more friendly units wholly within the opponent's territory, which is fairly easy to do with KO.
Yes.
You do have to make sure that when you're positioning if you fly high somewhere, and then you're positioning around, making sure you get your ships in the right place to shoot things, and that you just double check that you are definitely in, and not just like half an inch too far and just slightly over the line.
That would be important, yes.
Yeah, that would be such an amateur mistake. Wouldn't it, Lee?
Yes.
No, I think this is very achievable with KO. Again, my question: units inside the ship. So if I have a ship with a hero inside, I fly him high into your enemy territory. Do they achieve this? Do they count?
I think so. Rules as written, they do. I think there's a few people that think that maybe they shouldn't, but I mean, the flying transport rule literally says they don't count rules objectives.
And they still are units, and you measure unit distances from the base of the ship. So.
You start then getting into this whole thing of like, well,
and
when do they count? When don't they? You know,
these aren't objectives; they're battle tactics, which is different.
If opponents start saying you can't do it for that, you just say, right, okay, well, your spell can't affect them because they're not there. That's what they're saying. They're just trying to pick and choose when they're not there. So
no, these I think this is an easy one to do.
I mean, this is one that KO can't get the extra VP from because you'd need 2 monsters unless you've got allies.
Can you ally
just
two?
Ally in that?
Ally in. You could ally one in and then do your trick with the spell and do that way. But,
yes, but but at least it's an achievable one. You won't get the extra victory point.
This is a very good one, I think, to leave for the end of the game because it's just so easy to do it.
This one is always achievable.
Yeah. Okay, another one. Broken ranks. We're talking about.
Yeah.
So that
I mean, that one.
Sorry, go ahead, Corn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's just the pick a battle line, kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very easy.
Easy. Extra VP for monsters. No monsters, but it's a safe one. Usually, battle lines are not the big sturdy or defensive units, except Iron Breakers. But
this is potentially a good. This can be done on any turn almost, but it's battle line units often uses screens, so it can be a good one. Like if all you can kill that turn is screens, then just pick this one.
It's always a good one because later game you might have enemy battle lines with like 4 models left, left over from some fight or some shooting. Just go in, finish them off, done.
Even
if there's one model left.
Alternate turn 1 objective, just because the first thing you're going to hit is a screen of 10 chaff models, 20 goblins.
Yeah, but it's an easy one for both armies, for like everyone, I think.
If your opponent picks hold the line, then save this to the last turn and then just go in and killing their battle line unit that they think that you've forgotten about all game, and then you just go kill their battle line unit, and then that's like a 5-point swing. That's quite good.
Yeah.
Maybe another one that is similar is pick and destroy one enemy monster. The same thing, just with a monster. If you have a friendly monster who did it, you get extra VP, but that's, as we said, a bit tougher to do.
Yes.
But still, it's stupid if your opponent doesn't have monsters. So then this is not achievable. Everyone has.
Which is nice for us, for once, because we don't have monsters. Our opponents can never score this.
Yeah.
So they've essentially only got 7 to pick from.
Yeah. If you do that thing that Max was talking about a minute ago, where you make your hero a monster, then all of a sudden you make it possible for this one to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it only stays a monster, like, not long.
It's probably to the end of the battle round.
Let me check the spell. Until the next hero phase. Next hero phase,
yeah. So if you're getting a double,
you might get a turn.
Yeah, if you're going second in the round,
and you do it, they cannot achieve it.
Yeah, well, they could if you get the priority, then they can't.
Yeah,
because it's
true.
Yeah. Another thing about this is there are some generic rules for the realm. All these games are played in Gur. You just get 1 victory point every time you kill a monster anyway. So you want to be killing monsters if they're there. So this one's actually really worth 3 points.
So maybe it's good that we're not bringing monsters, because that's not extra VP we're giving away. I like this. It's a double. There's benefit for bringing monsters because you score extra, but there's the risk of giving your opponent monsters if your monsters die.
Yeah.
That's a sentence with a lot of monsters.
Yes. Okay.
Monster.
I think there's 2 we haven't covered. Slay the Warlord. Basically, you kill the enemy general. And again, you get an extra VP if you do it with a monster. So that's
So again, this is pick the general. Say he's gonna die, kill him. So grudge bearer trait, fantastic.
And I don't think. I mean, it also
then there's monsters. Monsters take over, which he cannot achieve probably.
Pick one friendly monster and have that monster contesting an objective you control. I mean, that one's actually relatively easy if you can get the spell off. You can do this one. I mean, first of all, for some armies, they can do this turn 1. It's like guaranteed. You just deploy on the thing, and then you just get it. Like, but you can do this. You make your hero a monster, and you're controlling that objective, and your opponents are nowhere near it. Easy.
Yep.
And it only works for us if we have that wizard.
Well, you can
ally in a monster.
Or heroic action, become a wizard, cast that spell.
Or you just ally.
I believe heroic action grants you that spell lore.
Isn't the heroic action just become like you can dispel, or can you actually cast spells with that heroic action?
That hero can attempt to unbind.
I think there's only unbind.
You are correct. You cannot cast. You cannot cast. You are correct. They can only unbind and dispel.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
never mind. That's
stupid.
Then you need to ally a encounter. Or the new, what's he called? What's his face?
You can get the relic.
Or the new wizard cast wizard dude with a mask.
I think we've decided that the wizard dude with a mask is not as good as an encounter.
I mean, I don't know, the same, maybe cheaper. I don't know.
You're talking about allying wizards to then make those wizards into monsters, so you just ally in a monster.
Well, they don't need to cast it on themselves.
No.
Yeah.
They can cast it on your dirigible suitman.
You can cast it on your chemist who's sitting on an objective and make him a monster. Boom, you scored this one.
Question from the chat is, can we bottle the monster spell? And no, we can't. We can only bottle endless spells.
Correct.
So these, I think, after you've written your list, you probably want to have a think about these and think, well, which are the ones that are easy to do? Which are the ones that are going to be difficult for you?
I think it depends on the battle plan and the opponent.
A lot. But obviously, if you haven't got monsters or and stuff, there's some things that are easier to do than others. Like if you've got Grudge Bearer and stuff, then it's easier to kill a general potentially.
Yes. Or if you are barrack freeing, then maybe select enemy heroes or enemy monsters to reroll ones against, rather than battle line or I don't know.
And like if you're Mornar, then Ferocious Advance, you want to do that turn 1. So
yes.
Okay. So let's look at some battle plans. So we're going to go in the order that they're in the GHP. And we're 48 minutes in, so once we've done a few, we'll have a look at the time and see how we're getting on. Because we might only do 6 today, potentially. There's 12 to go through, and
we'll get a part 2 to this video going. What's this?
So, stats. We've got stats. We've got
stats.
We've got stonks. No. So, just some interesting stats. Closest distance that you are, you start from your opponents. There are. I didn't actually put numbers on these. I just put the distances, but you can see they were mostly 22 inches apart. There's 5 that are 22 inches apart, 3 that are 18 inches apart. There's 2 that are 10 inches apart.
That's like your Arcanauts can go and shoot.
Yes, that's ridiculous. And one that's 12 inches apart and another one that's 24 inches apart. Now these are the distance you are apart, but you need to actually be able to go further than that because it's like you're always more than that distance apart. Some of these are like diagonal, so they're actually like the 10s are like 10.8 inches. So realistically, you're basically actually more like 11. So functional distance apart, because there's some of these are really weird. Like you're 10 inches apart in like 2 places on the map. But then the rest of the map you're further apart. So
plus you cannot fit a model like in the corner.
Yeah.
Or an entire unit. So
and like a 25 mil base in that corner will be closer to your opponent than like a 100 mil base. So functional distance apart is a little bit rough, but it's more of a proper idea of where you are. So it's still mostly 22 inches apart. Still, 3 18 inches apart, but those 10s and 12s are actually more like 15 inches apart. And there's actually one that's 18 inches apart that's actually more like 24 inches apart.
Wow.
Okay.
But 22 inches apart, 18 inches shooting on a Thunderer, 4-inch move, that's 22 inches. So run and shoot with Thunderers, with rifles, are probably going to be able to hit stuff if they're deployed on the line, in most cases. Which wasn't the case in 2.0. And the number of objectives, the most common thing you're going to see is 3 objectives, then 4. There's a couple with 6 and one with 5, but you're mostly playing over 3 or 4 objectives.
Also, being 22 inches apart means that against most armies, you're rather safe turn 1. 22 inches, that's a distance. Like you need to charge 12 and move 10. So not all of units can do it. Or all armies can do that. We can just fly high and be there.
You'll be safe from things like Idoneth, but a big wall will get to you. Doesn't matter how far away you are, because they move in their hero phase and they move in the movement phase once or twice, and then they run and charge. And
they can buff that move as well.
Slaanesh will get to you, not that it matters, because you're not going to be fighting any real Slaanesh players anymore.
I mean, all the deep striking stuff like Stormcast and Nighthaunt, and they can get, definitely. But I mean, like a
normal army.
Idoneth you should be safe against.
Army.
I think Daughters of Cain, Lumineth, you should be safe against most of those.
I think also the number of objectives, when you look at that, indicates how important battle tactics are going to be. Because if you're fighting over 4 objectives, it's very likely that you could have 2 and your opponent has 2. And therefore, your battle tactics will beat the swinger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, first battle plan.
Let's get into
Marking territory. So, it's a pissing contest.
So these are the objectives I was talking about with the half. Like, are they wholly within your territory?
Yes, they're wholly within your territory. Yeah.
Okay.
The lower ones, yes. The upper ones, not.
Yeah, like if you're blue, then the bottom ones are, and if you're red, so this one, you're 22 inches apart. This is like the new standard deployment, 22 inches apart, with the grid system, which is really horrible. Nice. The grid, I love the fact they've done a grid system and then done it on the most annoying numbers ever, 15 and 11 inches.
Like, you need to start getting 11-inch rulers. Yeah. It's just,
Also,
it's specifically designed to fit on Games Workshop's cardboard, the terrible cardboard fold-out maps, and so all their lines are based on the creases on those maps. It's like, we planned this all along. Look, the creases are good. You want creases in your game board, like but do you?
You know where
really?
that comes from? It's just how many boxes you can fit on a Euro pallet. That's the size of those. So these are just fractions of that size of a Euro pallet. The standard box is designed so you can stack I don't know how many next to each other and widewise and upwards on a standardized Euro pallet.
Wow.
So and that's where these sizes come from.
And I just want to point out, because a lot of people say, "Oh, great that they've introduced this grid system." We had a grid system before. It's just 12-inch squares or 24-inch squares.
Yeah, it was 24 inch.
24 inch. You could just divide them in half and measure to the centers of them. So,
On 12-inch was it's 12-inch.
The game was
easier.
The game was based around 6 and 12 inches. The whole game was 6 and 12, and then there was some things that changed, but yeah.
It's based around 11 inches now. So 11
it's weird.
New 12.
It's weird, but I mean, if you measure 15 with a tape measure, you can measure 11. You can do it. I believe in you.
Yes. So this one, you got 4 objectives. So yeah, the objectives are 8 inches apart, which is actually quite far. It could end up being sort of, you need 2 places of power potentially on this. You could, if you've got like a big shooter unit, sort of spread them out in the middle, maybe. Because Unleash Hell has a stupidly long 9-inch range. But the important thing about this one is from the 3rd battle round. So this works like the old knife to the heart. So basically, at the end of the 2nd battle round, you immediately win if you have control of all of the objectives. But it's better than knife to the heart because there's 4 objectives rather than 2.
So, but it is going to behave
difficult.
It's going to behave very similarly to knife to the heart in that it's effectively at the end of turn 2, whoever controls all 4 objectives wins.
But you can't just accidentally sneak onto the one other objective that you don't have, and like holding 4 is not easy.
Yeah.
However, there's something I think that's important, and we may have missed in this setup. So they've now got a difference between objectives and primary objectives. So primary objectives on a battle plan, you can see they have a little star around them, and objectives have nothing.
Are you telling me?
And at the end of turn 3, whoever goes, that's what those things are for.
We solved the mystery.
Yes,
these are objective markers.
And whoever goes second, whoever chooses to go, whoever's forced to go second at the end of turn 3. In turn 3, at the beginning of turn 3, can choose to remove 1 normal objective, not primary objective, normal objective, off of the board. All these 4 objectives in this mission are normal objectives.
Yes.
So at the start of turn 3, 1 of these is going. So you actually only need to control 3 of them, and then go second.
Unless
in turn 3.
Your opponent wins priority and he takes yours away.
Yeah, well,
it goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting dynamic there.
Be aware that one of these is going to disappear.
Yeah, it's very important. And whoever gets priority, they're not going to take one of their own ones away. So it's likely.
Probably not.
It's either going to go very well for you or very bad. And if you can't get all of the objectives, then it basically goes at the end of the battle. Then the player that has most battle tactics wins the game. So battle tactics are very important in this one. If you don't, no one gets all of the objectives, which I think getting all of the objectives is relatively difficult.
It depends. 3rd round, I mean, KO have the potential to shoot a lot at 3 rounds. Like, you can remove a lot of units.
By turn 5, if you're KO, you should be able to just spread out, plop, win. If you're alive.
Yeah. Maybe you make it sound easier than it is. But
Well, look. First, you just table them. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
There's a question from the chat, which is if you have to remove an objective, or it's just you may remove one. No, I can't remember.
Let me check. I will tell you in a second. Seismic shift. At the start of the 3rd battle round, after the players roll off to determine who has the first turn, the player taking the 2nd turn in the battle round can pick 1 objective marker on the battlefield and remove it from play.
So you don't have
to. You can choose to. You don't have to. But it's a good.
I don't think there's any downside to it. So
unless he needs to catch up on points, so he needs to score 4 points instead of 3, like that kind of thing. Maybe if he scores 4, then
you automatically win if you have all of them. So
I don't know.
And if you both have the same number of battle tactics, then it goes to the person that's done their grand strategy. But if you've both done your grand strategy, then it's just a draw.
Yep.
So this one's a little bit unusual because it's this scoring system.
Because there's actually no, you don't have to actually score how many points you have. It is points don't matter in this. It's just get all the objectives. It's not objectives, battle tactics. Not battle tactics, grand strategy.
Yeah. Yep. So there's a couple of interesting things about just the makeup of the table of this one. So because the objectives are on the border, and this is the same for any of the ones on the border, it does mean that your opponent potentially doesn't even have to make a charge to take your objective if you don't put many models on it. Because you all deploy, even if you deploy on the line and then 3 inches away from you, they can still get some models on that objective. Now, deep striking, or teleporting.
I think this is why it's now from the third battle round. Instead of at the start of the third battle round, you immediately win. So it was end of second turn before. Now it's in the third battle round, you need to have control or gain control of all three.
I think it still works like that.
From the third
that is what
it says at any point during the third battle round.
Yeah, so it's just
it effectively means
immediately wins. So then it's still stupid. Okay. Yeah. These are the ones at a tournament after half an hour you're done and you're waiting 3 hours to play next game. Fantastic. Yeah. Why does this exist?
You either finish it in half an hour or you're playing a Fire Slayers versus OBR and it never ends.
Basically, this is who gets priority in the second turn.
I think this one is potentially good for KO because you can do the whole hit a flank, shoot the flank off, and then next turn go to the next flank.
And these kind of missions were always one of KO's favorite just because of how quick we are.
Yeah, because we can put our whole army can just fly high there, and you got your whole army against half an army, and then next turn you just come over here instead. So the opponent's forced to split up, but we're not. So this is good for KO, I think. Anything else?
Then you need to hold them for a turn until the second round ends.
But by that point, you've just destroyed one flank. You destroyed the other flank. What they got left?
Yeah, but then that's true for all your games.
No, because some games they don't have
independent
to split
of
up.
The battle plan.
No, because some games they're not forced to. Because this forced them to split up. They've got to hold this and this, so they have to spread out over either be on 2 places of power or spread out a whole line, don't they?
Yeah. Still in this match, I think you want to go second in the second turn because then you have the last say. You have the last say in the second round. You can do it. There's no stopping you now.
Yeah.
And then third, it clicks over to third battle round. You won. Game over.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not a fan of this kind of mission.
But it is good for KO, I think.
It's good for KO, but it's stupid for some opponents to see this. I played this once, the old version with knife to the heart, with 2 objectives.
Knife to the heart.
Against a shootcast. And we both were just waiting. Okay, we can drop down and get your objective, and I can do the same to you. Okay, who gets priority second? I'll give it away. Okay, second turn, I'm going in. Boom, mine. Thank you for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've played this before, and you just retreat some models onto an objective, and then then the next round starts, and you're like, yeah, I won, thanks.
Yeah, I've had some negative player experiences on this thing against people who did not realize the end of turn 2 kind of thing. Where I jumped him in turn 2, and then basically went GG, and it was Tio had to be called over just to confirm basically that's how it works.
Yeah,
wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. Actually, it is probably worth checking with your opponent. Do you know that this is how this works before the game?
Okay,
let's move on.
Yeah.
To Savage Games. They've got cool names, I think, for a lot of these. Also, there are none with like where the names are similar. Whereas before they also had like Total
Conquest,
Total Conquest, and you're like, which one's which? No, they've all got like nice, unique names, which is cool. So this one is a bit like Focal Points in some ways, but it's kind of squished and spread out, and then not the middle one. Like it's like a diamond, basically.
It's a bit like the old Border War.
Mm-hmm. So, quick thing to call out: these ones, this one and this one. You see, they've got outlines on the objectives. That's because they are what are they called? Primary objectives. The ones that you can't be removed.
Right. So which ones are the primary objectives? All of them, or only a couple?
Just these two. The two with the outlines around them.
Okay.
So the two, the ones actually on the borders of the territories can't be removed.
Which makes sense, because against some armies, then you just remove the one underneath them, and you're stuck running across the board.
And this is 22 inches apart, standard deployment. The objectives in the middle are really easy to get onto now. They're only 5 inches away from them if you deploy on the line. It's quite nice.
Still too far for our stunty legs.
You need to run at least a trip with ordnance.
And there's only 10 inches between the two main objectives, so you can just sit on yours and shoot away potentially.
Yeah.
Just be peppering them unless they sit really far back, and if they sit really far back, then you can creep models onto theirs.
Which is not preferred for KO to have the objectives so close to each other.
Yeah,
like the old focal point. I didn't like that because some armies they can just bunker down in the middle of everything, and then you can circle around them and start shooting it from all angles, but you're not scoring while doing this.
Yeah, well, I think this one's a bit better than the old focal points for KO because there's like the diamond is wider, so there are still two flanks, which makes it a bit better. And the scoring's interesting on this one, is it? Or is this a normal score?
It's the Battle for the Past Border War scoring.
Yeah.
Yours 1, opponents is 4, the middle ones is 2. Battle Tactics scores 2 and 3 for the Grand Strategy, which I believe is always true.
Yeah, always 2 for the Battle Tactics and always 3 for the Grand Strategy. So getting your opponent's one is worth a lot. But
and the deployment is 11 inches deep, which is not ideal for KO. Because it's a straight one. So if you're doing the whole put the ships in a corner and have Arcanauts screen it, 11 inches is against like flamers with 18-inch shooting or something like that. It's difficult to screen.
Yeah.
Just in general, it's much harder to screen out. To deploy a screen and have units that far behind anymore because they've really shrunken those deployment zones. Like they've cut off the whole back edge by 6 inches.
Yeah.
It should be 6 inches deeper, but it's not. So now we've got this. Yeah. I guess it's also it's trickier for KO because it leaves less spaces in their rear lines that we can like try and jump behind them.
But you can jump in front of them and shoot more stuff.
You can shoot over their screens now.
Yeah, and you can reach like Necklace behind the screen. Because with his big saucer plate base, he's almost within, what is it, 11 inches, 9, 3... No, he's not 8 inches large, that base. Almost. But he could be like within carbine reach.
Yeah, easily.
Especially
if you move 3 inches away from them first.
Yeah.
This is one where the battle tactic for taking 2 objectives. If you do that, if you have first turn in the first round, you just run forwards, get those 2 objectives, and you get that battle tactic, and you score 4.
And then it's tough for your opponent to do that. Yeah.
You can score.
You can run like 2 Arcanaut units up, get that one out of the way. Yeah. Which is probably what you want to do anyway, or 2 Ether Wing units. Just score the 2, get the 4 points right out of the bat, and be done with it.
So
yeah, it's always I like these ones, like 1 for yours, but the opponent's is 4. There's an incentive to go to your opponent. There's this, I want to defend mine to not give him 4 points, but it's only valuable for 1 point for me.
Mm.
So it's like this, what do I gain, what not? Basically, the game is decided by the ones in the middle, which then can be removed. Then you have a Guardian who just kicks objectives around, so and screws everything up.
Yeah, Gargants in this one, it's like,
kick their objective forwards.
They kick their objective forwards and, like,
Yeah, then all of a sudden it's not worth 4 for you, it's worth 2 for them. The other thing is the objective's being removed. Being the flank ones, it means you can't just go heavy on one flank. Because if you go heavy on one flank and then your opponent gets priority on round 3 and they remove that objective,
then suddenly your flanking isn't worth anything.
Yeah, you just got everything on one side of the map doing nothing. It's kind of good for KO because it's easy for us to redeploy.
I was about to say, it's easier for us to adapt to that situation than for an opponent who put down most of his units like on one side to say, I'm going to keep this side. And then you remove it, and then he needs to run the other direction.
Yeah.
Easier for us to cope with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a classic, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I quite like this
one. No problems with this one.
Next,
now comes a lovely one to lay down when you start the game. Like, where's my deployment zone?
This is fine if you have like the grids, like if you actually have their stuff. If
you need the Games Workshop table. Otherwise, if you just have like a mat with a 6x4 on it, you're like,
You just wait because this one's worse than this.
Yeah.
So this is one of the ones where, like, because of the shape of the deployment, you start 18.6 inches apart from your opponent, but like here and here. The reality being like over here and here, you're 37 inches apart on average. I don't know. That's the one I just put as 24 or more.
This is similar to the deployment in places of arcane power. The only difference is that before in the middle it was like a quarter circle, and now it's an edge, it's a step. But other than that, the position of the objectives is similar. The deployment zones
are quite
similar.
A few where you got a corner deployment and then there's 3 objectives like this. I think that's like.
Which is good for KO. Corner deployment is always favorable for us. We deploy in a corner and stay there.
Yeah, we like having our boats down in the corner there.
We're corner people.
Yeah. There's like a dichotomy because it's like a rectangle board. There's like the one here is always the one to your right is always easier to get to.
The one above you is always The one above is the one where you want to run your chemist up, and the one down is where you want to send your engine riggers flying over. Basically.
Yeah, and it will basically turn. Often the map will be like your lines end up like this. You end up playing along the board rather than like
often,
not always. And because it's easy for you both to get a flank, then the middle does become quite important.
All right. How does scoring work here?
Okay, so scoring. Player taking second chooses an objective. Whoever gets it gets an extra CP. There's an extra. What have I written?
This is.
It's just an extra. So there's things on this one.
CP.
So you get an extra CP. Yes.
Interesting.
At the start of each battle round, after the players have received their start of round command points, the player taking the second turn must pick one objective on the battlefield to be the vantage point. When a player receives their start of round command points, if they control the vantage point, they receive 1 extra command point.
So you're going to pick one that you have, basically. You're not going to pick one that you don't have.
Yeah, you're not going to pick one, and you only get it at the start of the round. So you need to pick one. So basically, you
can't get it round 1.
It benefits the player who gets second turn more because he's going to say, I own this one. This one is a vantage point. I get a 3rd command point.
You can't get it in round 1 because you don't have any objectives at the start of the turn.
Yeah.
So it's
for round 1, it's useless, and from then on, it's a bonus for the player who goes second.
Yeah. It's an interesting
Which is interesting in round 3, because now the player can say, I get an extra command point on this one. I'm going to remove this objective as well.
Yeah. And then the scoring. Have I done this right? I think I might have made a boop on this one. Because it says...
this one is wrong.
I think I made a mistake. I think I've
You score 1 for an objective. You score another 1 if you have 2 or more. And you score another 1 if you have more than your opponent. So basically 3.
We found the error in this week's episode.
And
there it is.
Battle tactics are 2 points. So basically, if you have 1 objective, you score 1 point. If you have 2, you score 3
points. Yeah, this one
points.
has the standard scoring. What is the most common scoring? Which is if you have one objective, you score a point. If you have 2, you score 2 points.
Score 3 points. No, you score 3 points because you always have more than your opponent.
Okay, yeah. But I was going to go. Yeah, if you have 2 or more, you score an extra point though. And then if you have more than your opponent, you score a third point.
So this is been lifted directly from 40k. This is the scoring system that they use in 40,000.
Yeah. Remember that scoring system because it's going to be helpful on all the other most of the other battle plans.
Yep.
Yeah. So this one again, this is one where you can easily run out and just get 2 objectives. So it's great for that if you do get forced to go first. It will be one where I think the objectives are quite important compared to the battle tactics, just because there's 3, which means, if there's an odd. It's always better when there's an odd number, I think, because it can be very easy, like you have more than your opponent. But when there's an even
then you
number,
do a battle tactic, then it's like 5 points per round. That's yeah. That's good.
Whereas when there's an even number, it's very easy for you to sit and just both hold 2 or whatever, and then
until turn 3.
And then you take one away.
Which is a nice mechanic if you think about it, because it forces the players to act. They cannot just sit there and cool, I'm here. I'm playing for a draw. I don't know, kind of thing.
I'll just get my battle tactics and that's it. I think it's quite easy for KO to sort of flank people on this one because if they run out to this one, or they'll probably run down to this one, you can easily fly high over here or whatever potentially.
It's the classic. There's not, because he's gonna run into 2 or 3 directions. Like he's gonna go down and maybe in the middle, or even down middle and send a unit across. You can start picking them out, single units, take them out, move on. And because his army is going to be spread out diagonally, you have an easy time. It's what the KO do best, like bring their army to one flank, take care of that. Okay. Yeah. Then move to the other side, take care of that. And then, divide and conquer.
Yeah. Diagonals are great for KO because it forces their line to be wider because, if these 3 objectives are across the middle, they would be closer together than they are actually diagonally. And then it also creates this big hole behind that you can basically come up behind them as well, potentially.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Because although it gives them a place to hide their tech list as well.
Well, it gives them a place to hide the tech list, but it gives them, a place for you to hide away from Sentinels. So that's
this is true.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this one for KO, I think.
Yep, I agree.
I think a lot of them are actually quite good for KO. There's 1 or 2. There's a lot less. Well, there's only 1 hero missing. There's none of this you score extra if you have leaders of behemoths.
I was about to ask. So far, we haven't seen battle line score X or monster score X or blah blah blah.
No,
that's
baked into the rules. Like heroes count as 2 on objectives and that sort of thing now.
Yeah, which I like.
Yes, because
some of these were just hard to do. Like again, stone horns on focal points. That's an auto win because it's like 4 monsters and they all score extra points each turn. Like, okay,
and it also means from list building, you don't think, right, well, I need to have some behemoths because I need if the focal points comes up and that sort of thing. So it's much better. I think it frees up list building a bit.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on then to power struggle. So the only
this is the focal points.
Yeah, it's kind of because it's got 5, but it's a square now rather than diagonals, rather than a diamond. 22 inches apart, standard deployment. What is now standard point? This one's got some interesting scoring. I've done the scoring correct on this one. Also, I apologise to anyone that's wondering why I keep flashing purple. It's something on my camera, and I don't know how to fix it midstream. It's like a connection issue, and I don't want to just
it's
fapping around with it.
Discotheque.
Yeah. Sorry for that. 5 objectives. That's getting to the realms where that's a lot for KO to deal with. I think.
These ones are
our wheelhouse.
Tricky.
We usually don't have 5 units to that can go out and take objectives.
Yeah.
Wow.
And usually having many objectives is okay for KO because there's always one objective that's like not guarded or weakly guarded, and you can jump there and get that one. You can always jump around and get the one that's weak. However, in this battle plan, you only score if you control the objective for 2 or more consecutive turns.
Oh.
Which means you cannot just jump there, get that, and go away next turn, but you actually need to stay there and defend it to score.
Yes.
Which makes it a bit tougher, to be honest.
So it's the standard scoring, but with the extra thing. So it's 1 VP if you control 1 objective for at least 2 turns, and then 1 extra VP if you control 2 objectives for 2, and then another VP if you've controlled more. The one for just getting more than your opponent doesn't actually have the consecutive bit. It's only that turn. So that way, it's not so bad. And then again, 2 for your battle tactic, 3 for grand strategy. So there won't be any scoring turn 1 at all. Turn 1,
nothing happens.
Unless you have more than your opponent, which means if you take the first round,
you get the free. Yeah, you get the free.
You get 1 point. Then you won't get 3 points. You just get 1 for holding 3 objectives.
You know who'd love this battle plan?
No.
My Tempest High. You just run up first turn with an extra save. You deploy. You build your castle on 3 objectives.
Oh yes, you build a triangle.
You sit your Iron Drakes in the middle and you just stand there.
Iron Drakes.
And shoot everything.
Make sure everything like your unit here is like within 9 inches of your Iron Drakes there, and
it's just you just sit there and thanks. I'm here and come at me.
But you can only overwatch
these are
1 unit, right?
Go Trek sitting there.
You can. Yeah, you need to multi-charge, but again, you
can only overwatch once, though, can't you?
Yeah, but that's enough. 1 unit per turn is.
Yeah. Do you want to commit 2 hammers and know that you get one of them gets killed?
No, I mean, I'd probably because you can't charge the Iron Drakes because they're
unless you can fly, but they're like probably too far behind the Iron Breakers. They're 2+ save.
Because if they're 8 inches back, and then you're 3 inches, at least 3 inches there, so that's 12 inch charge anyway.
So these like castle, mortar guard, with like some what are called mortar crawlers in between, or sentinels sitting in the middle. Overwatch by sentinels, that will be a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
because now you can bring 30 sentinels in a unit instead of 20. Great. It's. These will be tough for KO against some opponents to deal with.
Yeah, 5 objectives realistically to sit and hold 3.
Sit and hold 3 and you won.
Yeah, sit on 3, get your battle tactics done.
Yeah, because you're always scoring 2 more. You don't even need the battle tactic. You just score 2 more each turn for the third one. So even if he scores all the battle tactics and you don't, you're still on a draw.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's pretty good.
It's a hard one for KO, depending on how you build your list.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay.
This one is just bunkering down and staying there.
I think there's going to be a few like that.
Oh,
that can be defensive.
Which ones can you? Oh, you can remove all of these. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not bad then.
So you start removing, but
Unless
then you
he
have
gets
to
it and he removes yours.
Yeah, and then it's just they win more, don't they? That's the
Yeah.
trouble.
But it's interesting because it means you really want to go second in turn 3. So if you win the priority between turn 2 and 3, you can choose to there might be a time when you have to choose between getting a double turn or removing an objective,
which is
will
the
be more important.
risk and reward mechanic, which is
Yeah.
the idea behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, potentially, if you're already in the lead and you've built your big triangle castle, you could suffer losing one because it's only, you'll probably only be losing the one victory point per turn from that. Whereas if you if you take the double turn or whatever, then you get your battle tactic, you deplete your opponent's army and stuff. So potentially depends on the situation, obviously. But yeah, a tough
I
one
like
to
it
KO,
because it makes you choose. It makes you maybe not take a double turn, which is nice.
I think the timing is good on round 3 as well.
Yeah, 2-2 round 3 is where most games are decided by a double turn.
Okay, let's move on. So, yeah, that one that you said that was awkward to set up?
Jesus.
Yeah. So I just want to say, Games Workshop, I know you don't like diagonal lines, and you've had a lot of people moan about diagonal lines in the past, but yeah,
this is not the answer.
Just do a straight line from that thing to that one. So much easier. I mean, what I will say is, if you've got the clear objective markers that have the 6-inch ring, then you just measure the 3-inch gap.
3 inches.
Yeah, you just get your combat gauge and you just do that.
Yeah.
But then, if you haven't got their
well, then you just place 2 9-inch rulers.
Yeah, if you haven't got their boards, measuring this bit as well is awkward as well.
But that's a good thing for KO, but because usually we do not deploy on the line. So I just roughly put where the border is and then I just deploy backwards.
Yeah, although the thing is, if you deploy back, then you're seeding the objectives, aren't you, potentially?
Yeah, which is it depends on the opponent. Do I deploy back and be safe, or do I deploy front and get the objectives? And I'm okay with that. So it depends who I'm facing.
Yeah, this is the one where you're 10.8 inches apart, but it's literally here to here and here to
and
here.
There.
So there's literally 2 points where you can do it. There are some other diagonals that are 12 inches apart. On average,
so when Lee says you start 10 inches apart, that's a clickbait title right there.
Yeah. Well, that's why I did the functional distance apart, because the functional distance apart is you deploy like this or further back. So
yeah,
I mean KO deploy. So this really actually ends up being more like 15 inches apart, 15 to 18, depending on what you do. Because you need to be aware on this one that your opponent can put something in these little triangle spots and rush forward to you.
I mean, that looks like that's where Morothy would go, in one of those little triangle parts.
Yeah, although she's got a big base. Gotrek can literally sit there.
Oh, Gotrek would sit there and just
threaten either this objective or this one, and then
run up and just punch him.
But realistically,
Ron Skywards would have a field trip on this map.
Realistically, you're going to be doing this, aren't you? And so you're just going to be 18 inches apart, actually, most likely. But yeah,
there's an interesting extra mechanic here. Yep.
I was going to say, unlike the other one, the deployment zones being bigger means it's harder for us to fly high up here somewhere and catch people out, because it's easier for them to come into this area rather than just being here. Hey, what were you going to say, Max? The predators thing?
I would just say, yeah, exactly. There's an interesting extra thing here. before the first turn and before first turn priority is decided, you choose 3 units in your starting army, 3 predator units, and the opponent does the same. And then if these kill each other, you score extra points, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a grudge match. You choose your 3 dwarf units and 3 elf units, and they meet in the middle.
So this is great for bag throwing because you just go, okay, which 3 units am I going to choose to reroll ones against?
Exactly.
That one, that one, and that one.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Well, there is some like play there because you can pick 3 units at your opponent. You could just sit like some 3 heroes here that are wizards and like just say, okay, they're my predator units. I'm not going to score it, but neither are you.
Or you kill their predator unit, and then you send your predator unit into another unit, which is not a predator, and get it killed, so you can never score his point.
Yeah.
Like you sacrifice your predator unit after you killed someone with it.
Yeah.
Which would be fun.
Yeah, so you get 1 VP for each enemy predator unit destroyed by one of your predator units. And then the rest of the scoring is normal. So, you control 1 objective, you get 1 VP. Control 2, you get the 1 from having 1 and another 1 from having 2. And then if you have more than your opponent, you get another 1. So if you hold 2 objectives, you'll get 3 points basically in this one.
Yeah, there's an obvious choice for predator units like an Ironclad, because the Ironclads will kill stuff and is hard to kill. But you can also, because who starts? The attacker starts to saying his 3 units. So if he has let's say he has Gotrek, he says, yeah, Gotrek is my predator unit. And you say, okay, well then this gun hunter, and this little hero, and you just send them somewhere in the corners, and Gotrek either he chases after them or he doesn't score those points, as an example. So there's some play with that.
Yeah. I think unlike the other one, I don't think this one is as prone to rotating and going lengthways as much because of the bigger deployment.
Again, all of these can be removed. As a KO player, I might opt to remove the middle one to split opponent armies.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Depends on, because it's 3rd battle round, so by then, you see where a lot of stuff is.
Yeah. And you're
so
ready
there
to
could
remove
there could be a far more obvious choice if they've got a really heavy flank. Then you could.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. But yeah.
Generally speaking, the middle one's a good pick. If you're
interesting
not sure,
for KO, but it's easier for the opponent to deny you like half of the battlefield by zoning it out, and because you don't want to. Yeah, you could fly high in his corner, but sorry, I'm pointing to it, but you can't.
Yeah, you're saying you fly high over here. And...
Yeah, but there's no incentive of going there. Well, what am I doing there? There's no objective there. There's like some people. I said this before. People are paranoid of ships and they start screening out their backfields, like the little corner back there. Why? Why would I ever go there? Why would I ever go there? There's nothing there for me to get.
No. What all you need to do is say if they have screens like here, and then they have like a hammer unit and some heroes, they just need to screen here and here. They don't need to zone this whole area out. They just need to make sure that you can't kill these things.
Yeah. Yep. That is true.
Okay, so anything else about this one before we move on?
No, it's less. No. I'd say it's less favorable than the last one, but it's still good for KO because diagonally, everything's a bit, torn apart.
It's less easy for someone to build like a triangle castle.
Yeah, it's harder to make a castle. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And if you build a castle just like here between 2 and then you remove one potentially. Yeah. Okay. Next one, tectonic interference. So you start a bit closer to each other on this one, 18 inches apart. these objectives are all primary, so they can't be removed. And at this is like the I can't remember what it's called now. Shifting objectives. Is that what it was called before? Where you rolled
yes.
at the you roll to see which one is the alpha objective, because you can't call it a primary objective because they're all primary objectives. And then the other two become beta objectives. And you score 2 VP if you control the alpha objective and 1 VP for each beta objective.
Okay.
And then you get 2 VPs for your battle tactics and 3 VP for the grand strategy. So this one you are scoring for each objective rather than just like whether you got 1 or 2 or more than your opponent. And obviously the alpha's worth. So I mean it's going to be a lot depending on where the alpha goes.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike
it's shifting objectives.
It's shifting of objectives without the battle line.
Yeah, it's the old shifting objectives, but with 2 points instead of 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You start really close to the objectives, 3 inches from the objectives.
Wow. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an easy, battle tactic. Like get to
you can just walk on it
first turn. Just walk onto them and do that. Yep.
And they're the objectives are so close to each other. So this is one where you could probably dump an ironclad on 2 objectives.
You could, but you would not control both with the ironclad.
No. And that's an interesting point that we didn't mention. Is the scoring has changed. So a unit can only actually control 1 objective, whereas it used to be models. So if you spread out a large unit, then they can only control that 1. You can only pick that unit to control 1.
Are you sure? I thought it was models. Can only control.
No, I think they changed it to units. They really want you to not
string out.
Not conga line.
String out anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought because I had this topic the other day with someone, and I read the rule, and I thought it was still the same.
We can double check.
I'll quickly check, but you go ahead.
You have a look while we talk. So there is some flanking you can do on this one. Because you have a deeper deployment on this one, it does mean that your opponent will push forwards and you can potentially come behind them. But it's the same as the last one, where if you go behind, there's no incentive to go behind them.
Okay. You are correct. The unit has to choose one. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've seen something from the chat, and I'm not sure from how long ago it was, but they said something about seismic shift can't be used on tectonic interference. Oh yeah,
probably because they're all primary objectives.
Yeah, because they're all primary objectives. Okay, they're talking about this one. I wasn't even sure if we were on tectonic interference. It's like, oh god, did we make a mistake 10 minutes ago? No, we're fine. Yep. Okay, cool. So it can't be used. So none of these are going to get removed. So there is a play on this one. This is one where you can just I'm going to go and make a little castle here and ignore that flank and just hope I get the alpha objectives, and if I don't, I'll make sure I get my battle tactics.
But are KO good at making castles?
No, KO aren't. I'm talking about just generally. Which, because if they do spread out, and the people will do that against KO, because if they spread out, then it's good for KO, because then we hit a flank. And then we hit the next flank. How do you feel about this one?
With KO, I was never a big fan of shifting objectives, or these ones where everything's on a line and close to each other, because it's easier for the opponent it's easier for them to react to your attack on a flank, because everything's closer. Also because the whole game then takes place in the middle. So why would I jump in your territory, in my territory, back and forth? Everything's happening in that little middle strip, and that does not suit KO that much.
Okay, and I just realised Sean in the chat just realised that he's just explained. He was just making a joke about how seismic shift can't be used on tectonic interference. because it's a
I see.
like
A man of
geological.
culture.
Yes.
Like, what?
I
As
didn't get that
Sheldon
before. I
says,
thought we
dirt
just
people.
made a mistake or something. Yeah, I think this is potentially tough for KO, this one, because it's easy for people to castle up. We're not good at holding and keeping space for a long time. And the space that needs to be held is something the opponent can get to easily. It's not like they have to cross the board to your deployment.
And this is one reason why I'm looking more and more into Fring, because of accessibility of tanky units.
Yeah, you just bring Harker Berserkers and they hold the
Berserkers, 10 Berserkers, okay. You can take 20 Iron Breakers, even Longbeards, 2 units of 20 Longbeards. In melee, they can be on a 3+ save. Iron Breakers could be on a 2+ save with all of defense. You could bring maybe a monster, a Rune Smiter on a Magma Dwarf who can give himself a +1 save with the once per game ability, that kind of thing. So I know some people don't like this. They want to play pure faction. I respect that, but maybe in order to win with KO in a new edition, you might need to consider some of these units.
Yeah, I think
we're going back to Advocators.
Zilfin still has play, and I think if you put a Warp Lightning Vortex,
definitely.
or one of these, or sort of, so it's like...
Yeah, I'd rather put it there, exactly.
I'm not sure about the whole size of it. I can't remember. They're 7 inches apart. 7 inches apart, so you'd have, it would be like that, and then they've got 6-inch ranges, haven't they? So, yeah, they're going to...
Have we talked to you, Max, about Alpha Pack and Mornar's shenanigans?
No.
Okay, so Alpha Beast gives you a normal move pre-game.
Of D6 inches?
Move.
Yeah, D6
but it's still a normal move.
So can you fly high?
I'm going to say yes, but it's debated.
Yeah, it is debated. Of course it's debated, because no one wants KO to have nice things. Yeah, we like talking about
And then there's... It's all we do here.
So basically, what you take, an Ironclad and a Frigate?
Yeah, 2 Ironclads, each filled with 10 Thunderers. 2 Ironclads, 10 Thunderers in each, 30 Arcanauts, and the Chemist with a spell in a bottle.
Have you written one with 2 Ironclads?
Yep.
Because I thought you said when you were writing them before, you struggled, you had to go with the Frigate because you need to get the Battle Regiment to get the low drops. Because
So what I've done instead is basically remove all heroes. There's only the Chemist. And there's just one Chemist with a spell in a bottle because it's a custom Skyport, Lee. Get excited.
Yes. Custom Skyport.
It's a custom Skyport.
Okay, I see. We
just
need
so
to
you
do
can
a
get
show
that relic.
about new lists. Okay.
Oh yes. Oh,
Okay.
and then there's the Mornar trick. So Mornar lets you, you know how it lets you redeploy a boat, and it says you can't make a normal move afterwards. You know what's not a normal move? A run.
Yeah, you can't make
you know
a normal
Mornar
move.
You can run and shoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't charge, but you can redeploy and then run and shoot.
It's like they make nice
3 inches
rules,
away.
and there's rules, and there's a battle pack, and everything makes sense. And then someone opens the KO book. Like, wait a minute. I can do all these extra weird instead of things.
Okay.
How does that work now?
Yeah. Well, seeing as we are on a digression and we're talking about custom Skyports, there's no trading with some people says once per battle you can pick one of your units and that unit can it can shoot or charge even if it ran and / or retreated in the same turn. So because it says and, it implies that you can retreat and run, which you can't actually do in the core rules.
No, Lee.
That's
and if you send this question in there, you will not get an answer.
No, you won't. You can't. It's one of those things where it's like, that's one of those ones where everyone wants to say, it's a contradiction, and then therefore the ability trumps the core rules. But it doesn't actually say that you can run and retreat in the same time. It just says
have you read all the FAQs? They're full of contradictions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the FAQ
all the time.
I mean, have you seen? There's a guy running this funny blog called Plastic Cake, and he had all the factions FAQs in 5 words. KO, like it was like a rules lawyer's wet dream. Slanesh, try again in 6 months.
Peter's my food buddy, and we send food parcels across the world during the lockdown. Yeah, some very nice
Tim Tams.
Melted Tim Tams. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not send them over the summer. Send them over the winter, and then they'll be nice. Although when it's winter here, it will be summer there.
Yeah, so it was my winter, and everything arrived fine. But his stuff that he sent to me came a bit melted. But it was still tasty. Thank you very much, Peter. Again.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
So that digression about rules.
Yeah, that tangent. We did that. Check.
Yes, tangent. I think completed. We said this one is tough for KO, didn't we?
It is. It is. Yeah. It's not the favorite one.
Okay. I think we've done 6.
We've done 6.
I feel like we're rattling through these quite quick, so I think we can get the next 6 done.
Ooh.
In 50 minutes.
I don't think my phone's going to be able to survive that.
Okay, then it's going to take 10 minutes.
Well,
it might survive 15 minutes, but it won't survive another hour.
Oh, yeah. We spent like half an hour at the beginning, but then it's like, do you want to stop now?
Make a decision now, yes or no, please.
Yeah, we'll stop now for a bit, I guess.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Okay. We'll pick these up then next week probably.
For part 2.
Oh, Philip says do Phil. I mean that's because he has a tournament. We'll do a bonus one for Philip, I think.
Okay.
Which one does Phil want?
Phil, just to please you.
This one. This is the one.
Oh my god!
Because he has a tournament.
Oh my god, Lee!
It's Philip.
Barrel Foray.
It's
where's that one?
Okay. 18 inches apart.
Page 40.
Okay. It's just that you can burn. Okay, it's not that complicated.
So this is objectives. This is Scorched Earth.
Yes, but with 6 objectives rather than 8. So.
Are you saying I own 2 clear objective markers, which I will never use again?
Yes.
Because they only came in packs of 8 because of Scorched Earth.
But if you run a tournament and there's 3 of you, and you've got 3 lots of 6 objective markers, and you've got an extra table's worth, then. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But I guess that means that the Honest Wargamer will be like putting the price down and taking selling them in 6s. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Maybe they will. And then next year there'll be one with 8 objectives.
One with 7.
7.
Just a random one that
perfect.
Yes. Okay. So in this one, 18 inches apart. This one I think is a bit better for KO because if you do fly high to the back, then you've got a reason to go there because the objective's up in the middle. From the start of the second battle round, after you've scored, you can then burn 1 objective you control in the opponent's territory that is within 1 inches of friendly unit and you control. You have to be able to control it. So it can't be one you control and you're not on anymore because obviously they're tag and go.
And you need to be in the middle of it, basically.
Yes.
So you cannot do the whole. I'm gonna fly on the one edge of it because he didn't deploy close to the middle. So I'm 9 inches away. I'm still on the objective. I shoot him off, and I burn it. That's not possible. You need to actually be 1 inch from the center, which makes it a bit harder.
You can only burn them starting from the second turn as well, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to explain what Max is talking about because obviously we've got these circles drawn on here. But each objective is literally like an infinitesimal point here, and normally you can be within 6 inches of it. But for that particular thing about burning, you have to be within 1 inch of this point, not within 1 inch of this big circle.
So you need to. You cannot. You can only do the fly high, conquer, burn if there's no one on the objective.
Yeah, you can still.
Otherwise, you cannot land on it. Yeah, you can need to charge onto it and capture it. Yeah.
They got rid of all the crazy stuff from
please.
the other one, which is about leaders and stuff, which is handy.
And they got rid of the free scoring.
Yes, so it's just one extra VP.
Yes.
All of the other scoring is standard. So you control at least one, you get 1 point. If you control at least 2, then you get an extra 1. And then there isn't one for more. If you score more than your opponent.
No. No, there is. Score 1 victory point if you control more objectives than your opponent. Yes.
Okay, we spotted another error in the screen share.
And there's another condition. You can only raise 1 per turn.
Yes, yeah, only 1 can be burnt. So you can't just
go in, burn all 3. GG.
So, yeah, this one's interesting because your opponent needs to push forward to get to yours. And then if they do, it opens up room for fly high shenanigans.
Yes. The thing with the old Scorched Earth was it's beneficial to KO because we can, like, there's 8 objectives on the backfield that he needs to cover. There's always one weak one that we can go in and capture with a hero score extra. The problem was defending our own 4 because we didn't have the amount of units to put on 4 objectives to score them in the first place and then, like, defend them. Basically. So you had like 2 units of Arcanauts sitting somewhere, and one was just like the one that you left out, which was farthest away from your opponent. You hoped that he wouldn't go there.
Aether wings or gun.
Or like won a single hero, and then he just tagged it and ran away, and that you just hoped he wouldn't go there, and you focused on the opponent ones. Now it's easier because it's only 3 on your side, so you can actually like pretty safely control yours at the start of the game and maybe hold him for 1 or 2 turns.
I think the 1 inch thing is really good because what it means is you can have like 4 guys here and they can come in and charge you 10 there and they gain control of it, but they can't burn it because you zone them out that 1 inch space, which is...
You don't even need to... You can just put 10 Arcanauts like all around the center, around the chemist who gives out the -1 to hit from his Hoover thing, and that physically makes it impossible for your opponent to get within 1 inch.
Yeah, or if you have a big enough base, a model with a big enough
or you
base,
put an ironclad on the middle. And
well, like a 50 mil base, like some heroes or like a gun hauler, probably just sitting there, even if it dies. Or even if he gets outnumbered, they can't burn it, which then gives you time to next turn fly high over there and just shoot the crap out of whatever it was.
That's true, and you unleash hell with any of your RUs because everyone shoots in KO, so that's okay.
Burning is harder than it looks,
but it's less beneficial. Burning is basically you get an extra VP. But you lose the objective which you could score in the coming turns.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to think about burning or not.
Yes, the risk and reward. You got to hold on for it for as long as you can.
But remember the way the scoring works. You don't score for the number of objectives you own. So if you own 1 objective, you get a point. 2 objectives, you get 2 points. If you own more than your opponent, so if you've got 3 objectives. And your opponent's got 2,
burn one of theirs.
More than them. If you've got 4 objectives, you still score the same amount. So if you go from 3 to 4, you're still scoring more than your opponent each turn.
So at that point, burning might just always be the right choice then.
Unless they start taking yours.
Yes, unless you need to do the whole like conquer battle tactic or thing, or stuff like that.
And the other thing is burning is only 1 point, whereas getting your battle tactics 2. So if you already have more than your opponent, then
you might not want to burn it because you want to keep your opponent spread out in his backfield. Just like stay there, don't come to me, and I'll shoot you from the 12 inches that we're apart, basically. I'm fine being here and shooting you across the middle.
Yeah, this I think this is probably okay for KO.
It is. I'm fine with this one. I wouldn't be too concerned too much about this. Obviously, depending who are you facing, what can they do, but
and also the 18-inch deployment means that you can just deploy a ship on a back line. It's a bit safer than the 22-inch apart.
Yes,
you haven't got because you wouldn't really want to go in the corner on this one, because if you went in the corner, you're not near any of those objectives.
Yep.
No.
Philip, I think you got this with KO.
Yeah. He's got Savage Strike, First Blood, and Feral Foray. So I think they were all ones that we thought were okay for KO.
This edition is really good for maneuverable shooting armies, and we are a maneuverable shooting army.
Yeah, I think it's also good for castle shooting armies as well. But yeah.
So Savage Gains, yeah. First Blood, definitely. This one, yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're figuring in. You got some good ones there, Philip.
Yes, you can do it.
You're always facing a lot of Lumineth, apparently.
Maybe
on
yeah,
+6. That Law Seeker might be on +6 to save. But
sure,
yeah.
Why not? Because people run around with like 5 rend.
Yeah. I know they won't, but it means there's lots of plus to save for Lumineth. So you could just be aware of that. Like don't just assume you just get to shoot stuff, because you might shoot them, but you might not do any damage. So we'll pick up the remaining 5.
5.
Maybe since we've just got 5 to talk about, I might for next week add in the ones from the core wars as well.
Or what we could do is do the 5s, or how many over there are, and maybe present 1 or 2 lists that we like.
Oh, that could be exciting. Maybe we'll have some lists.
I've got the 2 lists. One with alphabet, one without alphabet.
Okay.
Mine doesn't have alphabet.
Hey, do you like 14 balloon boy? Wait, no, it's not. 14 squads of balloon boys. Yes.
14, yeah.
Okay, maybe we should specify. We're looking for series lists, not meme lists.
It is a serious list. It's going to shoot you off the board at 24 inches.
Yeah, no.
Maybe.
Come on, it'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah. Fantastic.
I'm not saying anything because I once suggested a list with 42 balloon boys, and Max didn't like it. So okay, So I think that's it for tonight's show. Thank you, Max and Kron, for joining me as always. Thank you everyone that's watched and participated in the chat, and for hanging around waiting for us as well at the beginning, and just having a chat with me in the chat. That was cool. If you like the show, please do hit like, subscribe, so you get notified and watch next week's show and more shows in the future on KO and Age of Sigmar and all that stuff. And
tell your friends about us.
Yes, tell your friends. Hit share. Is there a share button? Maybe. Okay. But thank you for watching Skyfares. We will see you again next week. Bye. Yes.